it was just a tragic event that all of us involved were anxiously watching updates on a daily basis. And unfortunately, it proved to be quite disastrous.
What's the latest on the huge Dixie Wildfire in California and the efforts to recover damages for the victims? We're going to find out right now on this episode of Ask the Lawyer. Hi again, everybody. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com. My guest is attorney Guy Watts with the law firm of Watts Guerra, which has already started filing suits to try and recover damages for victims of the Dixie Wildfire. I want to remind you, if you want to talk to Guy or any of his team about your situation, what you want to do is just call the phone number that will be on the screen during our conversation. Guy, thank you for making some time to answer our questions.
Oh, you bet, Rob.
So let's just, here we are mid-December. Let's get a status update. The situation, where does the wildfire itself stand? It's completely contained, right?
Yeah, thankfully the fire is finally contained. I mean, this has gone down as the second largest fire in the history of California. And I think what is most noteworthy about the fire is just how long it took before it was fully contained. People in Greenville were anxiously watching updates to see where the fire was going to go, and unfortunately, it kept flowing to the east and leveled the town of Greenville. But it started in July, and it wasn't contained for about 3.5 months, wow. And it burned, I don't know, nearly. I think it was 970 acres, 970,000 acres. And so it was just a tragic event that all of us involved were anxiously watching updates on a daily basis. And unfortunately, it proved to be quite disastrous.
There is currently litigation. Tell us where that stands, and have you filed cases? Where do we stand on all that?
We have. We've filed all of our clients. We've put into a lawsuit. We've filed their cases. We continue to meet on a daily basis with new clients, and as they come on board, we file their lawsuits. And so we'll just continue doing that all the way through the statute of limitations. We'll continue to talk to people and make sure that they have all their answers, all their questions answered. Where they can talk to lawyers, they can interview other law firms and just make sure that they're making the right decision on who they want to represent them.
You mentioned the statute. How long do people have to make a claim?
Well, in wildfire litigation, we're making several allegations. You can principally start with negligence. That's a 2-year statute of limitations. But we'll also do nuisance, and we'll do trespass, we'll do inverse condemnation. But most of the causes of action that we include in our lawsuit are 2-year statute of limitations. Occasionally, or at least one of those causes of action is a 3-year statute. But our lawsuit contains 6 or 7 causes of action. Like I say, most of those are a 2-year statute of limitations. So people have time. Right. I'm sure that their focus is rebuilding their lives primarily, and then maybe seeking compensation for the losses they sustained. But they've got time. But for us, we're going full steam.
Right. So it's 2 years from what point, Guy?
From the time that they have their loss.
Oh, okay.
So they've got some time. But we're already in litigation with pg&e. We anticipate that the lawsuits, like other fires, 2017, 18, 19, there are lawsuits that have been filed in 5 different counties, and then also lawsuits are filed in San Francisco County, which is the home county of pg&e. So eventually, like with other fires, is all of those lawsuits will be consolidated into the JCCP, where one judge will be in charge of overseeing the discovery. And then eventually, if there's trials, then they may go out to each one of these counties.
You've mentioned pg&e. Your contention is that pg&e is liable for starting this fire. Tell me a little bit about that. How did you come to that conclusion?
Well, it starts with pg&e's own reporting. They're required to report to the California Public Utilities Commission, and early on they suggested that their equipment was responsible. And then what happened back in September is there is a federal judge who oversees pg&e's probation from prior fires, the Butte disaster, and that judge had a hearing and that in that hearing, he wanted testimony from a lineman who worked for PG&E. That lineman was out in the area whose job was to look for potential problems, and he found a potential problem. He saw a line that had two blown fuses, and he saw a tree, a rotted out Douglas fir, leaning up against that very line. So he reported it into PG&E, and then it took him nearly 10 hours to get to the base of that line. And when he got there, he saw a fire, a small fire at the base of the line, clearly connected to PG&E's lines. And then he started trying to put the fire out himself. But obviously he wasn't successful, and it grew to what it grew to be.
Some people express concern, Guy, that if people get money in these lawsuits, and then that's going to raise the price of electricity for everybody all across the state of California. What's your thought on that?
Well, I think it's a valid concern, but in California, these utilities are regulated by the PUC, and in order to raise any rates at all, they have to petition the PUC to raise those rates, and that hasn't happened. More importantly, after the disaster of 2017 and 18, Governor Newsom signed into law AB 1054, which established a risk-sharing pool to be shared by the three utilities in California, including PG&E. So that fund is about $20 billion. So PG&E has insurance for each year that they operate. And so this would go into year 2021, which is not the same insurance money that existed in 2017 or 18 or 19 or 20. So they have insurance, and then they also have, a kind of a fund that they have set themselves up with. But then most importantly, they have this risk-sharing arrangement with the state, where there's ample money to pay for their what they cost.
So you've mentioned that the firm of Watts Guerra, you guys have hit the ground running as far as filing lawsuits. Now it's a hard question. What's a timeline? What can people expect? You know, people, like you said, they want to get their lives put back together. Tell me give me a rough guess of what we can expect as far as a timeline.
I'll tell you what I tell my clients is that I'm not going to tell them that it's going to be 6 months. I'm not going to tell them it's going to be 12 months.
Right.
You know? So every lawsuit is its own animal. And so I can tell you what I kind of expect to happen, which is that these various lawsuits, all of the ones that we filed, as well as other cases, will be consolidated and in front of one judge, and we'll do what we've done with the other cases, which is we litigate. We take discovery. We've already hired experts that have been to the scene multiple times, and so we have a pretty firm theory as to what we believe happened. But during the course of litigation, we'll be able to speak directly with PG&E through deposition testimony and essentially prove our case. Now, we, the part that is unknown is will there be a settlement before there's a trial? I would anticipate that a trial could be set sometime in the year 2023, early 2023. And those, when a trial is set, then it really motivates both sides to try to reach an agreement. So I would say that we will litigate full board for the next year, and I don't think that we're in a position to explore settlement with PG&E until they're ready to reach settlement with us.
Lots of really helpful information, Guy. Thank you for making some time and answering our questions today. I appreciate it.
You bet.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been attorney Guy Watts with the law firm of Watts Guerra. A reminder, if you want to talk to Guy or someone on his team about your losses in the Dixie Wildfire, you can call the phone number 707-260-1999. Thanks for watching. I'm Rob Rosenthal with Ask the Lawyers.